They tell you in books with shiny covers and smiling faces on the front that you can be anything, anything at all, and as if existence were a supermarket aisle of identities. Doctor, artist, CEO, spiritual guru, billionaire, digital nomad, enlightened being. Just take your pick, as if the universe were standing by like a career counselor saying, here's a catalog of all possible selves, choose wisely. At first it sounds wonderfully liberating, limitless potential, infinite paths. You can reinvent yourself, upgrade yourself, optimize yourself. But listen closely to the echo that follows that promise, like a shadow trailing behind. If you can be anything, what you are right now is never enough. Hidden inside this bright and glossy slogan is a quiet accusation. You, as you are a kind of failure, a draft, a prototype, a before picture. Life becomes a permanent audition for a role that never quite gets cast. So you begin the grand project of self-improvement. You read the books, you follow the routines, you measure your mornings, your steps, your output, your net worth, your vibes. You compare your inner confusion with other people's carefully curated outer confidence. And always just on the horizon, there's this shimmering image of the person you could be. More confident, more productive, more spiritual, more respected, more everything. But notice the trick that's being played on your mind. If you believe that you can be anything, then every choice becomes a tiny betrayal of all the other possible lives you didn't choose. Say yes to one path, and you've secretly said no to 1,000 others. So you live in a kind of haunted house of abandoned possibilities, endlessly wondering if you chose the wrong door. This is not freedom. This is anxiety dressed up in inspirational language. Now let's be a little more honest, a little more earthy, a little less hypnotized by slogans. You cannot be anything. You are not a blank, floating entity in a vacuum. You are a very specific event in the universe. You were born in a particular body at a particular time into a particular culture with a unique arrangement of genetics and experiences. You did not choose your first language, your childhood, the shape of your nervous system. A tree cannot be every kind of tree. An oak cannot decide to be a rosebush or a tulip or a pine. It may grow tall or crooked, it may flourish or wither, but its possibilities unfold within the form that it is. So it is with you. You cannot be anything. You can only be this, but you have no idea how vast, how mysterious, how profound this actually is. The danger of the self-help lie is not simply that it's unrealistic, it's that it quietly teaches you to despise your own particularity. It whispers, somewhere out there is a perfect version of you, a superior you, a more successful, more admirable, more enlightened you. Chase that one, become that one. So each moment of your life becomes a stepping stone to somewhere else. This conversation is practice for a better conversation. This job is a bridge to a better job. This version of you is a bridge to a better you. And meanwhile, the only thing that ever really exists, the raw, living presence of this moment, is treated like a disposable rehearsal. You become a permanent beginner in your own life. This is why people can accomplish staggering things and still feel hollow. They climbed the mountain, but the promise was always on the next peak. They won the game, but the rules had already shifted. Because the lie was never about reaching anything, it was about keeping you reaching. There is another reason this lie is so persistent. It fits very neatly into the machinery of our culture. A society that sells products, courses, identities, and lifestyles needs you to feel like an unfinished project. You can be anything easily becomes you can buy your way into the life you're meant to have. The self is treated like a startup, always scaling, always iterating, never complete. You can be anything works beautifully as a slogan in a world of endless consumption and endless competition. But reality is a little more humbling. 8 billion people cannot all be the top 1%. Not everyone will be a celebrated genius, a mogul, or a saint. And that is not a failure of life, it is the nature of it. The universe is not a pyramid with a shiny tip where the winners gather. It's more like an ocean full of different currents and waves, each one expressing the same water in a different way. Here is the great reversal. You cannot be anything, but you can fully be you, and that is far more extraordinary than the glossy promise suggests. Imagine a wave on the surface of the ocean. It might say, if only I rise a little higher, travel a little farther, become a bigger wave, then I'll be worthy. But the wave doesn't realize that its reality is not separate from the ocean at all. Its shape is temporary, but its essence is vast. The wave is already what it's been seeking. In the same way, you are not a tiny, isolated self trying to prove its worth to an indifferent universe. You are the universe playing this particular pattern called you for a while. The invitation is not to become something else, but to wake up to what you already are. This doesn't mean you should never grow, never learn, never change. On the contrary, real growth becomes possible when it is no longer poisoned with self-hatred. Consider music. The beauty of a melody does not come from being able to play any note at any time. It comes from being within a key, a rhythm, a certain structure. Freedom in music is not the absence of limitation. It is the dance with limitation. A jazz musician does not sit there thinking, I can play anything. They listen to what's happening, respond to the other musicians, feel the mood of the room, and then express themselves inside that living context. Their genius is not abstract, it's relational. Your life is like that. You are not free because you can theoretically be anything. You are free because you can respond creatively, intimately, and authentically to this moment, in this body, with this history, in these conditions. Your limits are not your enemy. They are your instrument. Your physical abilities, your temperament, your sensitivities, your quirks, your traumas, your talents, these are not obstacles to the real you. They are the real you in formation. It's through this set of conditions that life expresses itself as this person with this voice in this chapter of history. Compare this to the fantasy of being anything. In that fantasy, your uniqueness becomes a burden. Your shyness is a bug. Your sensitivity is a flaw. Your slower pace is a problem. Why? Because in the abstract marketplace of anything, there is always an ideal model that you fall short of. But in the actuality of your existence, these very features may be the doorway to the precise contribution only you can make. The world does not need a second-rate version of someone else's life. It needs a first-rate version of yours. People often fear that if they let go of the "you can be anything" mantra, they will become passive, lazy, unambitious. They imagine that acceptance means stagnation. But there is a profound difference between resignation and acceptance. Resignation says, this is how it is and nothing can ever change, so why bother? Acceptance says, this is how it is right now. Let me see it clearly. Let me feel it fully. And from this honesty, let me see what naturally wants to unfold. Self-hatred can push you to change, but it will never let you arrive. Self-acceptance doesn't kill growth. It changes its flavor. When you are no longer trying to fix yourself to meet a fantasy, your actions become less frantic and more sincere. You may still work hard, still strive, still train, still learn, but now it's more like an artist refining their craft than a condemned prisoner trying to earn a pardon. So what happens if we drop the dangerous lie and replace it with a gentler truth? Not, you can be anything, but you cannot be anything, but you can be fully this. Suddenly the question shifts from, what should I become? To, what wants to be expressed through me? Instead of forcing life into your idea of who you're supposed to be, you listen. What lights your curiosity? What kind of work makes time disappear? What kind of conversations leave you more alive, not more drained? What pains in the world break your heart in such a way that you feel compelled to respond? These are clues, not to what you could be in some abstract sense, but to what your particular configuration of body, mind, and history is uniquely attuned to. Then ambition is no longer about climbing an imaginary ladder. It is about deepening an intimacy with your own capacities, with other people, with the world. Success is not measured solely by status or applause, but by the degree to which you are aligned with the life that is actually moving through you. This may still look like worldly success. Building a business, writing a book, mastering a craft, raising a family, serving a community. But the energy behind it is different. You are no longer acting out of the panic of anything, but out of the clarity of this. The old narrative says, you are not enough yet. Become something else. The new narrative says, you are already a complete expression of the universe, appearing as this unfinished human being. Let's see what happens if you live from there. You will still have doubts. You will still compare yourself to others. The culture will still sell you upgraded versions of yourself, like seasonal fashion. That's all right. The point is not to become immune to influence, but to wake up enough to see the game being played. Then when someone says, you can be anything, you might smile and answer, no, I can't be anything. I can only be this wave in this ocean at this time, but I can be it fully, honestly, courageously, and that is more than enough. Because in the end, the most dangerous lie is not just that you can be anything. It's the implication that until you become something else, you, as you are, do not count. And the most liberating truth is not that all doors are open all the time. It is that this door, this one, right here, the door of your present life, with all its apparent imperfections, is the one that actually leads inside.